Aw yeah, Rivers here from Some Cool Tech, and I hope you're having an awesome day. Here at Some Cool Tech, I review a lot of media players. In fact, most of the videos on my channel are about media players, so I know what's important to look for when you're choosing a player. Nvidia has just released a new Android gaming console called the Shield console. This system has a specially designed high-performance processor called the X1. The X1's got 8 processing cores and 256 graphics cores. It can output 4K graphics at 60 frames per second and render complex 3D games as well. There's really nothing like it on the market now. Bottom line is, it's awesome. Today I'm going to show you all about the Shield console and why it's so remarkable. The Shield is the best Android gaming system that I've used so far. It's great as a media player as well. Now let's take a look. Let's start off with what you get when you buy the Shield. You get the console itself, one controller, all the cabling you need, and for a limited time you can get some free Google Play money to buy apps. I'll link to that special in the video description. There's also 2 versions of the console. One with 16 gigabytes of flash memory, and the other one with 500 gigabytes using a hard drive for storage. I'll have links to each of those down below as well. I also got a couple extra accessories with the Shield, including an extra controller and the Shield remote control. Both have their own voice search and headphone jacks on them, and are very useful in their own ways. I'll go into more details on both of these in just a minute. The Shield has some very advanced hardware inside too, sometimes even more advanced than the hardware inside the latest game consoles. Now let's talk about the performance. It's got Nvidia's latest X1 processor, which is actually called a system on a chip. It's got an 8-core 64-bit ARM A57 based processor to handle the CPU jobs. Then it's also got a 256-core GPU, which really gives this more graphics power than any other Android media player on the market right now. Also included are 3 GB system memory, gigabit Ethernet, 2 USB 3.0 ports, HDMI 2.0 which can output 10-bit color at 4K, 802.11 AC dual-band Wi-Fi, a microSD card slot for more storage and expandability, and Android TV Lollipop 5.1. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that navigation is going to be nice and fast. It can play more advanced 3D games, which in the past only dedicated game consoles could play. It's got the fastest networking options available, and that it can utilize ultra high definition displays, which have 4 times the resolution of your standard 1080p display. Now let's take a look at some of the accessories you can get with the Shield. I picked up an extra game controller and the remote control. The game controller runs on Wi-Fi, so it has less lag, but the remote control runs on Bluetooth, and they both work great. So first up, let's look at the game controller. Feels nice and solid. It's got 2 analog sticks and a digital pad up at the top. Then it's also got volume up, volume down at the bottom here. And then your Android navigation buttons. You've got back, home, and a start button up there. And up on the top, that activates your voice search. On the back, you've got your triggers. You've got a built-in headphone port for listening to games or media, and a micro USB port for charging the built-in battery. Next up is the remote. This remote is kind of expensive, but it's totally worth it. I highly recommend it if you're going to use it for any type of media playback. I think it's the fact that one-handed operation is just so nice to have. You can tell right where everything is by feel too. It's also got a built-in headphone jack, so you could watch TV in bed without disturbing your partner. The remote is nice and simple too. It's got a multi-directional pad, select, back, and home buttons, and it's also touch sensitive to let you control the volume. I really hope in the future they update this to allow the touchpad to have pinch to zoom. That would be totally awesome. Probably my favorite feature of the remote is the voice search though. It gets the right search almost every time, and I think the remote microphone has better range than the controller. It's fast too, check this out. Some Cool Tech. Netflix. Goat Simulator. How to tie a tie. How to shop in Japan. That whole segment was completely unedited, so you can see how fast back-to-back searches are. You can also voice search inside of apps if the app is supported. For example, I can go inside of Plex and search for movies or anything on my computer in the other room. Nvidia Shield. This is really nice because I can also go inside of Google Play and search for apps by category. Racing games. Utilities. This only works on supported apps, but I think you're going to see more and more apps supporting voice search on Android TV because it works really well. Now let's take a look inside of the Google Play Store because that is one of the strong points of the Nvidia Shield console. As you can see, there are tons and tons of games. A lot of them are free or very inexpensive, like $1 or $2, so I think that is exactly what the Shield needs to succeed. On top of that, Nvidia has a special section of high-performance 3D games, so you've got games like Half-Life 2, Portal, and Doom 3. All games you're not going to usually see on a media player, but on a console or PC. Also, it has a little section for games that are coming soon, and you can see pictures from the games, which I think is a really good idea. Okay, now let's explore the Android TV UI and some of the apps on here. So up across the top, you've got the Shield Hub, and that's where your best performance games are. So you've got your streaming games, which are actually the most amazing looking because they're rendered on high performance computers and then just streamed to your computer. If you have a good internet connection, they play really well, and for me, they worked awesome. Next, we have downloaded games, which we just looked at, but it's the high performance games for Nvidia devices. And here where it says GeForce PC Games, this is where you can stream from your PC using your high performance GPU on your Nvidia card and get the games to play on the big screen TV. And next up we have 4K Netflix. This is the first version of Netflix on any device that I know of that has 4K. So if there's a file available in 4K, you can stream it to your 4K TV with the Nvidia Shield. There's not that many videos available right now, but more should be coming in the future. Now over here is where your games go, and depending on the order of what you played, it will put them in that order. So I've got done playing Half-Life. We've got MAME, so if you want to do some emulators, upload some ROMs with TeamViewer, you can. And then just some different games I installed on here, and they all look really awesome on here and play really well with the controllers too. Next we have Google Play, which I showed you earlier, has tons of games available and apps, so it's a big plus for the Shield. So I did manage to sideload Antutu benchmark just so you could see the benchmark score. Now when they're sideloaded, they're not optimized for the platform, but you can see here it's still got the highest score that I've seen on Antutu. I think if it would have been optimized for the Shield, it probably could have scored even higher. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to sideload apps. It's fairly easy, but it's kind of time consuming too. Next we have Sideload Launcher, and this is one of the apps you're going to need to sideload other apps onto the Shield. So what this does is it gives you a list of all the apps that are installed, not just the ones that they want to show you on the dashboard there. And over here is another app that I sideloaded called Linpack, and this just gives you a quick benchmark of the CPU performance, and it's getting in the 800s, which is one of the better scores I've ever seen. So just a good idea, but of course it's optimized for different CPUs, so sometimes it'll score really high and sometimes it'll score really low on a really fast device too. So just to give you an idea though, there it is. And over there you can see that I did sideload Kodi, and it is working on here as well. And here's some different streaming TV apps. Hulu, Pluto is really awesome. This 5x is really cool. It's like YouTube, but it's curated, so you only get quality videos and funny videos and interesting videos. So over here you have ES File Explorer, and you're also going to need that to sideload apps. And then you can see TeamViewer, and here's another benchmark app to just give you some more system information. That AIDA64. Now Plex is what I use to stream all my movies and videos from my PC hard drive to my big screen TV in the living room. So here let's look at some home video footage. I've got some 4K footage sitting on my PC hard drive, and I'm going to stream that. Plex is going to downsample it to 1080p, so it still looks awesome. And here you can just see what it looks like. I also tested video playback on the Shield using MX Player and Kodi version 15. I connected a new 2TB Western Digital USB hard drive, and the Shield recognized it without any problems. This is a USB 3.0 drive, so any bottlenecks should be in the software, not in the USB interface. I used ES File Explorer to navigate the files on the hard drive, and then I found some footage that I shot on my 1080p camcorder a few years ago. This footage used to slow down a lot of players and be choppy, but you can see here it runs nice and smooth in MX Player. Now let's try it out in Kodi. This footage played nice and smoothly in Kodi as well, and I had no problem adding a link to the USB drive so I could quickly navigate there in the future. I could even play 4K footage in both apps with no problems either. The Shield can also be used like a Chromecast to mirror your phone's screen on your big screen TV. I really like this feature because it's so easy to just show people things on maps where they can look on the big screen TV, or just show people pictures or videos from your phone. Here I'm using Google Earth in their 3D buildings, and it's much easier to see on the big screen TV than on my small phone screen. You can also use it like a Chromecast to remote control apps like YouTube, Netflix, Plex, where your videos are streaming to the device and you're controlling them with your phone. It works really well thanks to the strong Wi-Fi signal on the Shield. I really love all the little details that the Shield offers. Here's an example. You can set in the HDMI settings so that when you turn on the Shield, it turns on your TV also. This is great because now I barely need my TV remote. I just turn the Shield on and I'm ready to go. Now you do need to have a compatible TV. This is a newer one, which is a 4K set. But if you're interested in doing this, you just need to see if it has the CEC setting, go into HDMI settings and enable it. Another setting that shows attention to detail is that you can adjust the brightness of the LED on top of the box. This is great because when you're watching a movie in a dark room, sometimes the light can be distracting. Personally, I like the green color of the light and I leave it on brightest, but you can turn it from dim to all the way off if you want to. Alright guys, I'm going to take you out of here with some gameplay and a list of the pros and cons. First, the cons. It's not available worldwide yet, no optical audio output, occasional Wi-Fi controller disconnect, no screen recording because it had it before with the previous firmware but it's gone now. The remote is expensive but it's worth it, and the base stand is too expensive. And now the pros. There are too many to list, so I'll just put my favorites here and the rest in the comments down below. This is the first player to support 4K Netflix. It takes SD cards up to 2 terabytes, not gigabytes but terabytes. Sideloading apps is pretty easy. Super fast Wi-Fi, that's the fastest I've ever seen. Chromecast support works well. Low lag controller. HDMI can turn the set off and on. The dimmable light. Voice search is so good and fast. And the streaming gaming works and looks great. Alright guys, I'll have links to the 16GB version and the 500GB version in the video description down below, as well as everything else you saw in the video. Be sure and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more media player reviews like this one, and hit that little like button down there too, that will help me out a ton. Thanks again for watching, and as always, aloha. Oh yeah, and I didn't forget about Sideloading Apps. Here's how to do it.